I don't know. I remember the good old days where if you had the popular support of the people, that was a good thing. I don't like the elites. They stink. They're corrupt. But a guy comes along who has popular support. No, the elites will decide. Just like Sam Harris destroyed himself on your podcast when he said, I don't care if Hunter Biden had dead children in his basement. The plot against Donald Trump and the election in 2020 was, quote, justified. That's the left. That's the other side.
We're about to have a look at a debate between woke Destiny and base conservative Sebastian Gorka. And this is a moderated debate where, of course, woke Destiny takes the anti-Trump position and Sebastian Gorka is obviously pro-Trump. So let's have a look and see who wins. Will Destiny finally get one over on a pro-Trump individual in Sebastian Gorka? I doubt it, but let's find out.
So we can go back and forth saying, I read this, I read that. Look it up for yourselves. Everybody can do that, okay? I just want it to be common sense. Does anybody with a straight face have the capacity to say, yeah, the Democrats are strong on the border and immigration and Trump isn't? I mean, it beggars belief. It's risible. It's risible.
That's one of the weaker points Stephen made, but I think a very strong point that he made right at the end, and one I'd like to hear you answer, is Donald Trump, you say, didn't build the wall because there was a lack of support from the other side. They were not acting in good faith. Okay. Well, you think there's going to be more good faith after he gets elected, let's say in 2024?
Right. I'm not sure it's the good faith that's the problem. He seems to paint President Trump.
No, you said this earlier.
No, but let me just unpack it in terms of what's possible and what isn't. I said this when I was in the White House. I said it after I left the White House. Donald Trump won the election despite the GOP, not thanks to the GOP. I mean, this is the oddity. I mean, this is what Americans forget, and I find it funny that I have to, remind Americans who are born here, unlike me, a legal immigrant, that Donald Trump, the American people did something utterly historic in 2016. Because prior to that, every chief executive from George Washington to Obama was from the same class. They were either senators, congressmen, governors, or retired four-star generals. Every single one, from George Washington to Obama. Then what did the American people do in 2016? They say, we've had it with the swamp, the establishment, the rhinos, the Democrats. They elect a man who's never run for any office, not county dog catcher, a guy who has no political background, and they say, F you to the establishment, we want him. That's actually historic. Now, that's what the president had to compete with. When we walked into the White House on January 21st, I said this publicly back then, there were less than 20 of us in senior positions like myself who were actually America First and MAGA, right? Because it was an insurgency. It was a political insurgency. The establishment hated President Trump. We had people inside the building who were actively subverting him, even his former chief of staff. That will not happen in a second Trump administration because the president understands what Reagan taught us. Personnel is policy. We can't have, people betraying the will of the American voter inside the wire, inside the building. It's more than just, oh, well, he didn't pass legislation. He actively had people who believe in the footsie under the table with the other side. I'll get my cushy, lobbyist job after I leave Congress. That's changed in the last 8 years. The Republican Party now is MAGA, is America First. There's a few holdouts and rhinos who are leaving like Mitt Romney, but the situation for getting even more stuff fixed is much brighter than it was when we walked in 2016.
Stephen, anything you want to say?
Populism usually takes a pretty predictable route where people are frustrated with a set of circumstances, which, to be fair, there's a lot of things to be frustrated about. And what you do is you turn to a strong man who promises to deliver you from all of your evils, to deliver you from the pain and the suffering and whatever around you, because he's the one source of truth, the one source of goodness, the one guy that can get the job done. That's what Donald Trump sold himself as when he came into office. And like every populist, he came in, he overpromised, and he underdelivered. Trump failed on every single conceivable metric when it came to being a president, besides, and I will admit, he is very funny. He's very funny, he's got good stage presence, and he can work a crowd. That's why the nicest thing...
The economy was pretty good during his period until COVID hit.
The economy was good, but I mean, you can Google markets, you can look at indicators, like everything had been hitting all-time highs since 2013 under Obama, right? Ever since the economy crashed after 2007 and started to recover, that same recovery happened under Trump. And it was happening with pretty low interest rates, and it was just a carry on from Obama's administration. People will say, well, the economy was really good under Trump. What did Trump even do? He did a bunch of tax cuts, and that's it. He didn't really do much else.
Hold on.
And then as a quick thing again, I'm sorry, but my managerial experience in the ordinary world, outside of the YouTube world I live in now, is limited. But I was a supervisor in a restaurant. If I was given a shift and all my tables were dirty, and my manager comes in and she sees my restaurant, it's my ass. I'm in trouble. I can't say, like, well, these employees were working against me and these guys didn't show up and these guys didn't call in. She say, okay, well, you're getting paid the big bucks. It's your responsibility. You're the leader there, right? When Trump was coming into office, because I am an ardent capitalist, the only redeeming quality I saw was, well, okay, he is a business guy. So at the very least, maybe he's got some comprehension in terms of how to get people with different opinions to actually work together. And he is the most divisive leader in like all of U.S. history, or at least in recent U.S. history. The idea that, even his former chief of staff was against him, like that's a point in favor of Trump. These are your people. You're nominated. How is it that every person that's worked with him, how is it that his former attorney generals, his chiefs of staff, his personal friends, his personal lawyers, when you have this many people around you that are saying to the rest of the world, don't trust this guy. This guy is no good. I don't work with him anymore. I don't trust this guy anymore. Like, at what point do you look at him and you're like, okay, well, maybe it's not actually the deep state, every single institution, all of the media, all of the world, all of academia, and all of the politicians against him. Maybe it's just kind of like a bad person who's not very good at getting his job done.
Just cutting in real quick to point out the fact that most of these people that he just listed, except for people that are close friends with Donald Trump, whom I would argue aren't so close of friends with Donald Trump, if you're going to come out here and say a bunch of nasty things about him, most of these people were individuals that were fired by Donald Trump. People that have a bone to pick with Donald Trump because of the way that, Donald Trump treated them, which was a result of them not doing their job properly. Donald Trump doesn't just fire people that are doing a good job. That whole take that Destiny just had right there that he just laid out is completely just off base. And if you agree with that and you like this type of content, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Ring that notification bell. Now back to the debate.
This is, it's like you live in an alternate universe. I know you're on YouTube and that those are your qualifications. But
we're all on YouTube, Seb.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I've been banned. I've been banned on YouTube, right? So, I take that as a mark of honor. I'm on Rumble. So this idea that he failed at everything. Yeah, that's a great description of Joe Biden, from mortgage rates to inflation, to the price of energy, to surrendering in Kabul, to the invasion of Ukraine, to October the 7th. Yeah, massive successes in the last 3.5 years. Let's talk about my bailiwick. Let's talk about national security. We had been told by our predecessor, Obama, that ISIS, quote, is a threat we just have to get to learn to live with. Can't be solved. Just going to live with it. When we came into the White House, President Trump got the lawyers out of the way and unleashed JSOC and Delta Force. Within 5 months, the caliphate of ISIS was gone, kaput. China, we initiated a trade war with China. We facilitated the rise of NATO to such an extent that under President Trump's presidency, defense spending shot up by $400 billion inside NATO. The guy who was going to destroy it actually saved it. Then we look at, the Middle East. 5 peace accords in less than 4 years. These are meant to be failures for us. Let's look at the international environment. Under Obama, Ukraine, Crimea, taken. Under Biden, again, a second invasion, hundreds of thousands of Ukrainians and Russians dead. The largest loss of Jewish life since the Holocaust in Israel, and then the absolute surrender and betrayal of the Afghan people in a withdrawal that made Saigon look like a small incident. These are supposed to be the successes. And as to this, he's the most divisive. So peculiar, but I find it incapable, I find it impossible to remember my former boss giving speeches in front of iconic locales such as Independence Hall in Philadelphia, bathed in red fascistic light, with Marines standing, flanking him, labeling half of America extremists and fascists and preaching to us about white supremacy in his State of the Union address. That really brings us together. This is the man who told us, Biden said on his inauguration, I'm going to bring you together by calling half the nation white supremacists, when the real racist problem in America are the Democrats on the campuses saying death to America, from the river to the sea if you're Jewish. That's the left today. Radicals who hate America. I go back to my original point. And then this strange idea of populism, using this label as a smear, some kind of pejorative. I don't know. I remember the good old days where if you had the popular support of the people, that was a good thing. I don't like the elites. They stink. They're corrupt. But a guy comes along who has popular support. No, the elites will decide. Just like Sam Harris destroyed himself on your podcast when he said, I don't care if Hunter Biden had dead children in his basement. The plot against Donald Trump and the election in 2020 was, quote, justified. That's the left. That's the other side. Those are the divisive people.
Ooh, chills. I mean, Destiny has no business being involved in a debate with Sebastian Gorka. I mean, talk about being reduced to a sliver. I mean, Destiny's only response really was to sit there and color in his coloring book. I don't know what he was sitting there doing the whole time. First of all, it's disrespectful to the person that you're debating and having a face-to-face conversation with to not look them in the eye, or at least look them in the face while you're having this discussion. Yeah, it's one thing if you look down and you take a note. It's another thing if you're just chicken scratching all over this notebook or whatever it was that he was writing on. I mean, literally, it looked like he had crayons coloring in a color book for kids. But what an excellent amount of knowledge that was just laid down in such a short amount of time by Sebastian Gorka. He broke down how the Democrats are truly the racist party in America, and how the Democrats are pro-war, how they're anti-populist. I mean, the list goes on. And Destiny basically just had to sit there and take it. And, you know, good job by Constantine getting these two people together, because it's nice to see Destiny get put in his place. And, you know, the other thing is the Democrats love to say that Trump was a threat to democracy, right? And yet they're the ones that installed the DEI hire Kamala Harris and didn't have a primary election to decide who should replace Biden in this last 2024 election. It was just one straw that broke the camel's back, that forced Americans to choose. I just can't go down this path that the Democratic Party is leading me any longer, thus changing the American populace to MAGA, or at least anti-Democrat. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you agree with the points made in this video, please make sure you hit that like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching to the end, and I'll see you guys in the next video.